Hey, no. On Friday, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Hello to you. And how do you do, upstate South Carolina? What's happening, y'all? Good to be with you on a Friday afternoon. The Rob Brown Show gets its go right now. Hello, what's up? Hope you had a phenomenal Thursday evening. I did, and I'm going to tell you why coming up here in just a minute from right now. Very, very cool thing happening right now in the upstate, and we got a big bit of news last night. If you follow us on the Facebook page, you already know what it was because we went live with the announcement yesterday. If you don't, well, don't you worry about it, my friends, because I am here to tell you about it today. NASCAR turning right this weekend. Last night, not one, but two number one seeds eat dust, including, ladies and gentlemen, my national championship pick. It took me till today, but the bracket is officially roasted, ladies and gentlemen. So I would like to congratulate the all of you that have officially defeated me in the bracket contest, because I'm done. My national champion went out last night. Fortunately for me, I had Duke. Oh wait, no, I didn't have them either. I had Texas Tech winning last night, but I did tell you yesterday that there was one Cinderella that was still going to be dancing today. And I told you that I genuinely thought Eric Musselman's Arkansas Razorbacks had a really good chance. And my friends, not only did they have a really good chance, they did it, kids. The Razorbacks of Arkansas did it. Got a big dub last night. Went on with the win. Coach K, ladies and gentlemen. Coach K ending up getting, that's on me. Don't worry about that, Tim. That's just me on the Odyssey app listening to myself, which, by the way, you can do. Fortunately for me, listen to that. It's Robception. It's Robception. That's the Odyssey app, kids. AUDACY. Grab that Odyssey app and download it onto your digital devices. Search The Fan Upstate. Click the heart button, and you can listen to the station live, including the 3 hours that we're on the air, folks. Including the 3 hours that we are on the air. Just hit that up, grab the Odyssey app, and you can listen anywhere you've got a speaker and an internet connection. Y'all, how good is that? How easy? By the way, I got asked last night, hey, Rob, what's the best way to listen to your show? The Odyssey app. AUDACY.
Yeah, I tell people that.
Yeah, it's the best way to listen. But listen, if you're in a car and you got the radio, that's absolutely stupendous.
Yeah, most people are like, you guys have an app?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
But it's super clean, super organized.
Yeah, it's very nice.
It's user-friendly. You just open the Odyssey app, you search The Fan Upstate, you click the little heart button, then you click the little play button. You're listening anywhere that you are, and the service is always great.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So grab the Odyssey app. That's the best way to listen. Plus, if you like the show, I'm going to play a little insider baseball here. Not always what I'm supposed to do. Don't care. One of the sports radio, Tim, we've talked about this in the past. Sports radio is content driven, right? It's up to the minute. It's what's happening right now. It's how it's happening, why it's happening, but why it's happening right this very second. The who and what is up for discussion. The when is not. It's now, right?
Right.
And with the Odyssey app, when you guys tune in to listen to the show, the big bosses, not just downstairs in this building, but our corporate overlords, they see what you guys like based on what you're listening to on the Odyssey app as much as on the radio. So if you like a show, whether it's the DA show in the mornings, my show from 9 to noon, Jim Rome from 12 to 3, Offsides with Mark Ryan 3 to 7, BetMGM 7 to 10, or any of our overnight shows. If you like those shows, then I need you to grab the Odyssey app, and all you got to do, if you want to send direct feedback to the station, is just listen to the shows of your choice right there on the Odyssey app. The corporate overlords are going to see what you are listening to based on the numbers and go, more of that is good. Let's do more of that. So grab the Odyssey app. Help you, help us, help you. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Say that 5 times fast.
No. Glass this AM. My man T2 Tim Snow filling in for Lonzo has been doing a phenomenal job all week, and we appreciate you, man. How's your Friday going so far, pal?
Going great. Yeah.
Liberty of changing your stream name. You are now Babyface. He's like 19 years old. And you're sitting here telling because if that's what you look like at 33, I must look like I'm 60. We have got a slam dunk of a show for you. That's a basketball reference for those of you who don't know, because the basketballing that's taking place right now. The Sweet 16 is on. And if you missed it last night, our wraparound coverage brought to you right here only on the Fan Upstate. If you missed our wraparound coverage last night, do I have good news for you? We're doing it again. Run it back. We're doing it again tonight. Wraparound coverage of tonight's 4 Sweet 16 games is taking place here and only here on the Fan Upstate. Ladies and gentlemen, you tune in around 7 o'clock p.m. and you are going to hear wraparound coverage of all 4 of tonight's games. Last night, not one, but a pair of number 1 overall seeds bit the dust. Not a great night for number 1 seeds yesterday evening as the Gonzaga Zags bit it 74-68. The Bulldogs fall to the only Southeastern Conference team still dancing. A lot of folks thought that the SEC was going to be a powerhouse in this tournament. They were not. The backs kept dancing, and I told you yesterday, if a number 1 seed fell, I thought it was going to be Gonzaga to Arkansas. Eric Musselman's team all year long has loved playing the role of the underdog, and they do it great. Eric Musselman is an insane person, all right? He's the one that back during the regular season, I want to say it was the win over over Auburn, the eventual 2 seed. The winner of Auburn, Musselman, who's, by the way, arm was in a sling at the point due to an injury that the head coach sustained. Musselman, after the game, takes off the sling to take off his shirt to go shirtless, then puts the sling back on because, hey, safety first.
Of course.
Runs up into the crowd in the student section, whipping his shirt over his head like he's at a freaking Tool concert, man.
Right.
It was amazing. Eric Musselman is listen, as far as coaches and entertainment value go, there's a few of them. Juwan Howard at Michigan's entertaining right now, not in a great way all the time, but he's entertaining. Eric Musselman is the most hilarious dude coaching a college basketball team alive. You give me a coach. Give me a coach who his guys win, and he's going shirtless into the student section to celebrate with the undergrads. Dude, I'm in. I'm here for it. I love it. Let's go. Phenomenal. So, Eric Musselman, in his Arkansas Razorbacks last night, get a big win over the Zags. And to be real, Down the stretch, last few minutes of the second half, Arkansas dictated that game to them. Arkansas did to Gonzaga what Gonzaga traditionally has done to everybody else, which is we are going to set the pace of this game, not you. And they did that. Down the stretch, the 21 of J.D. Notae, the 15 of Williams, the 15 of Wade, they dictated the game to Gonzaga. Now, that's been the rap against Gonzaga the past couple of years, including in the national championship game to Baylor last year. Baylor in that game dictated the terms of conflict to Gonzaga, and Gonzaga just did not know how to overcome it. Just did not know how to overcome it. Arkansas did that to him last night. Eric Musselman watched the tape, which said in the final 3 minutes, Gonzaga, who is a very good team, Gonzaga doesn't know how to dictate the terms of engagement late in the game because there's not one thing that they're built to do. They're built to be a very balanced team. So Arkansas said, we're going to push the pace and we're going to force you to play our game. And it worked. It worked. But they were not the only ones, ladies and gentlemen, because the Arizona Wildcats, Rob Brown's national championship selection, did not just lose to Kelvin Simpson's Houston Cougars. They got smoked. 72-60 is your final in that one. And it was not particularly close. The Cougs led 34-28 at the half and then scored 4 more in the second half. Put up 38 in the back half to Arizona's 32. They ran out. They earned a 6-point lead. And then they just kind of maintained that. Did the same thing in the second half. Won the second half by 6 points. They just outpaced Arizona. Now, keep in mind, this is an Arizona team, and it's been a couple of days. Should have been rested and recovered. But an Arizona team that against TCU 4 days ago, 3 days ago, whatever it was, that against TCU got taken to overtime. An Arizona team that was mentally taxed by TCU. In fact, I genuinely think if it wasn't for some, shall we say, over egregious officiating, I think I broke something, over egregious officiating late in that game, Arizona probably loses to TCU. Frankly, probably should have lost to TCU. If I'd have watched that game that they played against TCU before we filled out brackets, Arizona would not have been the national champions. But that's why we fill out brackets before. Arizona was taxed by TCU, taken to the limit by TCU. And this Houston team, they are men, yo. They are experienced. They are one of the oldest teams in the tournament. They are one of the most experienced teams in the tournament. They have more minutes shared on the court than pretty much anybody else in the tournament. For all of the crap that we have given the likes of John Calipari for having a bunch of one-and-dones on their squads, a bunch of young guys, right? They just refill the roster with freshmen and a couple of sophomores every year. For all the crap we've given guys like J. Cal, Houston's the exact opposite. Houston's the exact opposite. The Cougs are built physical. They're built big. They are as experienced as you could ask for. And last night, they put it all together. Knocking off Arizona 72-60. We got 2 more games to break down. NASCAR is turning left and right this weekend. The Circuit of the Americas. If you are not a NASCAR fan, if you have not been watching races, I give you about 8 races a year that I'm like, you got to watch this one. This is one of them. I'll tell you why. Coming up, I'm Rob. T2, Tim Snow on the ones and twos. Back after this. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio and cell phone devices. On the Fan Upstate.
Now, that's a term I haven't heard in a
And we're back. Yes, Steven. That shoulder, that is Ken Griffey Jr. in the background. Griffey has been returned. We know exactly who stole it. I'm not getting to a prank war with them. However, I absolutely did get it back. I told the saga of Griffey on the air a few days ago. I think I put it up as a podcast, but I'll have to go look.
All right, 1 minute.
Super duper.
Super duper. I can't believe you changed my name. People used to say it to me all the time.
Tim moisturizes. The Rob Brown Show is right here and live on the Fan Upstate 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM in Spartanburg, and around the world on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Download that app, put it on your phones, listen to the station, listen to your favorite shows around the clock, and the podcast versions go up too. So you can actually go back and listen to shows that you missed. So let's say you're like, man, that Rob Brown guy, he is as good as talking sports as he is handsome. And you want more of me? First off, aw. Second off, sweet. Go to the Odyssey app, get the Fan Upstate, favorite it, and you can go back and you can listen to the show later on in the day. You know, you can't listen 9 to 12, but you don't want to miss the show. Got you covered, homeboy. Go grab the Odyssey app. You can listen to it whenever you want. Preferred Home Services text line is set up for you at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. Texter says, Rob, Arkansas took advantage of how the game was called. The officiating allowed Arkansas to do what they did. Not a Zaga fan, but that game was choppy with no rhythm and hard to watch. That's because of the pace the referees set. You blame the TCU loss on the refs. Call the Arkansas-Gonzaga game the same way. Poor officiating crew, and I am an official, so I can call a spade a spade. Yeah, it did get a little choppy. You're not wrong. The one thing that bothers me about officiating is, in basketball, with football, and baseball especially, I get frustrated because a hold's a hold, right? Like, we can define a hold. We know what a hold is. It's not subjective. It's objective. In baseball, a strike is a strike, a ball is a ball, an out is an out. There's no subjectivity to it. It is objectively an out or a safe, a strike or a ball. Objectively. We can draw on a map. If it's here, it's a strike. If it's here, it's a ball. There's no subjectivity to it at all. In basketball, I feel like foul calls are a little more subjective, right? Whether a guy got fouled or not is a little more subjective. And I understand that. I don't love it, but I understand it. It's just the way reality is on a basketball floor. Where you frustrate me, and I said this about the Michigan State-Davidson game too, that happened last weekend at the Well, because it was kind of the same way, right? It was kind of the same way. Davidson had Michigan State on the ropes, hitting him the old Muhammad Ali rope-a-dope. Had him on the ropes, and then all of the sudden, with 3 minutes and some change left on the clock, the officials decided to change the way they were calling the game. That's where you tick me off. That's where I get upset. In fact, I was at that game. I was live tweeting that game. And if you go back and read those tweets from last Friday, you will see where I said, this game has been ruined by the officiating, right? I'd have a dog in that fight. I did to some degree. I had Davidson picked for the upset in my bracket. But as a neutral observer without a dog in the fight, who was good either way, right? I either got an upstart Davidson team that was going to try to end K's career on Sunday, or I got Izzo versus Coach K, and I got to be there on the sideline for that game. I was good either way. I went on Twitter and said, look, the officials are ruining this game at this point. And the officials are ruining this game at this point because what was a foul for 36 and a half minutes of basketball, or I should say what was not a foul for 36 and a half minutes of basketball, suddenly for the last 3.5 minutes was. And it changed the pace of the game because at that point, Davidson had settled into a rhythm. They had settled into an offensive routine. They had settled into understanding what they couldn't do on the defensive end to throw a wrench into Sparty's system. And then in the last 3.5 minutes, The guys in stripes suddenly decided, nah, that's a foul now. Yeah, we know it wasn't a minute ago, but it's a foul now. And Davidson, and listen, you hear me say all the time, evolve, adapt, overcome. All of the sudden, Davidson, a team that for 36 and a half minutes had Michigan State on the ropes, everything they did to put Michigan State on the ropes got taken away from them. Everything they did got taken away from them. And there was no adapt on the fly there. It wasn't a possibility. Arkansas Zaggy, at least I'll say last night, that the officiating, although ticky-tack in spots, was consistent, right? I will take consistent, poor officiating throughout the game before I take really good officiating for 37 minutes and 3 minutes of awful officiating at the end. Because if I know in the first 20 minutes of the game that these officials are ticky-tack calling, I can change my game over 40 minutes to fix that, right? If you jump into a game and you know what the standard is in the first 5 minutes of the game, all right, I got 35 more minutes of play time to adapt my game to that. I got 35 minutes to figure out, okay, defensively, if they're going to call fouls like that, then maybe we switch from a man to a zone man or a pure zone. If they're going to call that, okay, then instead of jacking up threes, I'm going to get the ball into the big man more than I might have initially because they're calling ticky-tack fouls underneath, and I want to take advantage of that. But when you give me 35 minutes of what I thought in the Davidson-Sparty game was pretty good officiating, and then in the last 3, you just go haywire calling everything ticky-tack, well, it's too late to adapt my game. We're already in a rhythm. We've already got going the game plan that we want to get going, and that's where you run into trouble. At least with Arky Gonzaga, while the officiating was ticky-tack in spots here to there, at least it was consistent. And like you said, Texter, and I appreciate the text on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307, Arkansas figured it out, and they adapted their game to that officiating. Davidson adapted their game to the officiating in that game against Sparty, and then at the last minute, they changed it on them. And when they changed it on them, it's like, oh, all right, well, that's not what we've been doing, but cool, I guess, question mark. And that's where I get frustrated. That's where I get bothered. That's where I go, this officiating has ruined the game. Not that it's bad, but that it's inconsistent. An inconsistency in the officiating screws teams over, especially smaller teams. Teams like Davidson. If the pace of officiating last night and the last 5 of the game did like it did in the Davidson game and flipped to where it went from a choppy ticky-tack game to we're going to let the boys play, Gonzaga wins that game. But it didn't. Stay consistent. And I'll take consistency over inconsistency in officiating 100% of the time.
Were they officiating like the same for both teams?
Yeah, I think it was consistent.
Okay.
Yeah, like, no, I don't believe, in my opinion, I don't believe that either team gained an advantage from the officiating.
I got you. I was just trying to find out if it was biased towards like one team or not.
Yeah, no. And listen, I think they're like the Carolina game a few days back against Baylor. Carolina was up 25 points with like 16 minutes to play. They were running Baylor out of the gym. And then all of a sudden, their best player gets tossed for what I believe to be an inadvertent elbow. It happens. It's basketball. Everybody's got arms up and elbows out. Somebody's going to catch one to the nose. It's an inevitability. Words are hard. And then after that, I agree with the texters and the callers who were checking in and saying the officiating started going against Carolina. Was it to get Baylor back in that game? I'm not ready to go full conspiracy theory on it. But yeah, right? I'm not going to say that's definitely what happened, but yeah, that's what happened. It has happened in this tournament. I think the officiating overall has been relatively good. But I will take consistent questionable officiating where the teams can figure it out and adapt to it, right? Consistent questionable officiating over 35 minutes of good officiating and 5 minutes of terrible officiating at the end because the refs go, oh, fouls are important in this game now. Dude, if they were important in the last 5, they should have been important in the first 5. Be consistent. That's all I'm asking for. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, huge announcement was made last night right here in Greenville. Going to bring that to you. Plus, U.S. soccer, a 0-0 draw on the road at Mexico, and they inch closer to a World Cup berth. Break that down and more coming up on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. Keegan, I have stopped looking at my bracket ranking because it is terrible. Terrible. Steven says I'm sitting in 7th, but there's still enough teams that have a champion dancing. Basically, I think at this point, whoever's going to win this thing is probably sitting around 20th, but correctly pick the national champion because you get a full 320 points if you identify the champion correctly. Somebody that wins this thing is sitting middle of the pack, but correctly picked a champion. That's what's happening. Ben, welcome in, big dog. Appreciate you coming by, buddy. Good to have you guys. All right, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, kids. All right, kids, welcome back to the Fan Upstate live stream. Thank you guys for coming by. We got a little boost in viewers there during the break. Glad to have y'all. Chat's oh, look at that dog. Look at that dog.
Oh, same one. It's a golden retriever. I have one.
I love. You got a golden?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love goldens.
I got it for doing a DJ in a party.
They give you a puppy?
Yeah, the girl bred dogs.
Love it.
Yeah.
We just got a boxer lab mix puppy, and she's adorable. But she has 2 modes. She's either asleep or cocaine with fur. There's no in between. It's like asleep or just.
I love my golden. He did. And he listens really good. And yeah, man, great dog. He really is. His name is Bailey.
Steven says, if the USMNT first makes and was to win the World Cup, I can dream. Do you think soccer would jump with baseball and basketball to become America's number 2 sport? I think baseball is on a path to I think soccer is on a path to overtake baseball. I think it's years away though. And that's from a diehard soccer fan. I think it's on the path to overtake baseball, but I think that moment is still a few years off. I think winning the World Cup would be a huge jump, right? Because at the end of the day, America loves winners more than it hates anything else, which is why you see soccer is the only sport where you see as much women's gear as you do the men's gear. And it's because the women are winners, right? Like the women have won World Cups and Olympic gold and whatnot. The women have been winners, and we support winners above everything else. We like winners more than we dislike murderers and domestic abusers. I think soccer overtakes it because at the end of the day, as the world becomes smaller and more connected, right? Like with the internet, streaming services, the world is becoming smaller and more connected. I was laughing because I in my spare time, because I'm a nerd, I watched a show called Critical Role, which is a bunch of voice actors playing D&D, just being nerds.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's phenomenal. And I laughed because I'm watching a campaign that they aired on YouTube like 5 years ago. And in this campaign, one of the voice actors was in New York filming a TV show. And she Skyped in to play a session. And one of the girls was like, in the distant future, people will play D&D across state lines. And I'm like, the distant future is now. Because I'm playing in a D&D game with 5 other dudes, and we're all in different states. All 5 of us are in different states. One in Florida, one in Georgia, one in South Carolina, one in Tennessee, and one, I don't know where the other guy is. But we're all in different states, and we play because the world is smaller and more connected than it ever has been.
30 seconds.
Well, soccer is the world's game. And as we, as Americans, get more exposure to the world, because America's always kind of like been an isolated country. Like, this is where we want to be. But as we get more connected to the rest of the world, and the rest of the world's influence impacts America, like America's is impacting the rest of the world. Like NBA in China is huge.
Yeah.
As the rest of the world has its influence on the United States, soccer is going to be a part of that. And you're going to see a rise in soccer fans. But again, more than anything else, we love a winner. The Rob Brown Show. Drop the bass. Oh, I thought it was going to be a harder hit than that.
I did too.
Damn. I sound goofy. I'm just waiting for it to kick. Retro trance.
This is.
There it is.
There it is.
Radio and digital devices. This is the best damn sports talk station in all the nation. This is the Fan Upstate. Glad to have you. Talk a little football here, a little soccer here real quick. We'll spend all day on it, but, you know, we had a big match last night. Team USA on the road down at Stadio Azteca in Mexico City, Mexico, taking on El Tri. Before I get to that, though, if you follow our Facebook page last night, you got a notification that said ESPN Upstate is going live. And that's because, well, I did that because your boy yesterday afternoon was at a big announcement that I think it's great. Steven asked in the Facebook chat, if the USMNT first makes and was to win the World Cup, I can dream. Do you think soccer would jump both baseball and basketball to become America's number 2 sport behind football? And I answered that question on the stream, which, of course, you can watch the stream at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, The Fan Upstate, twitter.com/The Fan Upstate, or go to YouTube and search The Rob Brown Show. You can watch the stream live on YouTube. Put it on your digital devices, and you can watch the show like a TV show because we are. We were talking about that during the break, but I want to bring it up here too. What I told Steven in the Facebook chat just a minute ago, what I told Steven in the Facebook chat was that, no, I think there is a point where soccer overcomes baseball and becomes America's number 3 sport, still behind basketball and football. But I also think that point's years down the line, right? I think it is a very slow trend upwards, a very slow march toward that point. I think that point's coming. but I think it's in the future, like a couple of years and like a handful of years in the future. So, America loves a winner. We like a winner more than we like anything else. We like winners more than we dislike other things. Case in point, as I pointed out multiple times, guys like Ray Lewis, guys like Ray Rice, guys like Kareem Hunt. These are all guys who did atrocious things or allegedly did atrocious things off the field. But because they came onto the field and kicked ass, we loved them. We love a winner more than we dislike bad things in this country. We always have. Since the American Revolution. We love underdogs. More importantly, we love winners. Yesterday on Offsides with Mark Ryan, Diesel was making a point because we've all been talking about the St. Peter's Peacocks, right? The number 15 seed that's still dancing in the Sweet 16. And how everybody on social media is like, hey, I'm a St. Peter's Peacocks fan now, right? Like my Twitter handle right now is official fan account of the St. Peter's Peacocks. Everybody's in. Except for, almost without exception, whenever there is an underdog going up in a situation like this, they don't bump the ratings, right? The numbers don't reflect that. Everybody's all in for the underdog. There's a reason I have not done more than a few minutes on the St. Peter's Peacocks. And that reason is because everybody says they're in, but the numbers don't reflect that. Everything that a broadcast outlet does, whether it's radio or television or podcast or a YouTube channel, there is nothing more important to us than numbers, metrics. What are you guys partaking in? What are you guys avoiding, right? Everybody asks all the time, how is it that idiots like the Kardashians can keep getting more money and more fame? It's because all of you can talk trash about them, but you keep watching.
Yep.
You keep talking about them. You keep going and following them on Twitter and Instagram.
There's no such thing as bad publicity.
No. The only publicity is publicity.
Yep.
And when you partake in these reality idiots and their Twitter channels, because you go, they're so dumb, ... I have to see what dumb thing they do next. Guys, that's the game.
No, well, that's why.
The game. Because you click on their name.
Yep.
When one of them is trending, you go, uh-oh, Kim and Kanye are trending again. Let me go see why. That's a click. It does. When we look at our metrics at the end of the month and we see what you guys clicked on, what segments you guys listened to, what segments you were a part of, what segments you downloaded, what segments you texted, what segments we measure all of that. All of that. At the end of the month, we get a little piece of paper that says, here's the number of clicks you got. Here's what those clicks were on. Here's the number of texts you got. Here are the times that those texts get in so we can compare them to the shows that day and go, okay, we got a lot of texts when we talked about Clemson's socks are ugly. Whatever. And what's not on that little sheet of paper is you got a bump of 75% of text when you talked about this. 50% of those were, I hate this topic text. Doesn't matter. You texted in, you called him, whatever, which is why I told you back at the beginning of this hour. If you like this station, if you like this show, if you like any show on this station, and you want it to grow, you know what the number one thing you can do is? Interact with it.
Yep.
Pull it up on the Odyssey app and listen. Go download the podcast. Interact with that show or that station's social media handle.
Or share it. Share it to yourself.
That's the best you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And metrics-wise, little teams that could, like St. Peter's Peacocks, we can all day. It does not matter if you go all day and go, oh, we love St. Peter's. They don't move the needle. Underdogs don't. I hate that Kentucky and Duke and Arizona are always at. Well, they move the needle.
Yeah, you got to make it known.
Yeah.
Make it known.
Blue Bloods move the needle. Dynasties move the needle. It doesn't matter if you like them or you hate them. You tuned into them. That moves the needle. So, underdogs. we love an underdog in America. We do not like losers.
Nope.
The reason that soccer is the only sport where you see as much women's gear, jerseys, t-shirts, commercials, the only sport where you see as much women's gear and coverage as you do the men's is soccer, because the women's soccer team have been winners. They have won World Cups. They have won Olympic gold medals. They are winners. And we love a winner more than we love anything else. For the men to get to that point that Steven was talking about in the Facebook chat, for the men to get that point, they got to win. But you find yourself at a catch-22. You don't start getting the best players to go, soccer's good. I would like to play soccer now, right? I wish. We've talked about sports regrets on the show. I only got a few. One of the sports regrets that I have is that when I was a sophomore and junior in high school, I didn't play soccer. I played football. And I was not good at football. I was like JV when the junior season started. I was like one of 4 juniors on JV. Cool. Got bumped up to varsity where I became like the 3rd string tight end. I didn't play a varsity game in my career. I was, however, a damn good soccer goalie, but I didn't do it because everybody in my life went, no. Men don't play soccer.
Yeah, you got to go play football. Go play football. Yeah.
There was more pride in being a 3rd string tight end who literally never played football, but was on the team, than there was in being the starting goalkeeper on a state championship high school soccer team. And unfortunately, because young Rob was dumb and impressionable, I was like, oh, I'd rather be what I'm supposed to be, a football player, than what I'm good at, a soccer player. And I wish I would have done that. We are starting to get to the point. We are starting to get to the point where kids are going, soccer's kind of cool. I was, as a matter of fact, on Sunday. Before I went to the well for the Duke-Michigan State game, me and a couple of guys from the Reedy River Riot, the Greenville Triumph Supporters Club, we went out to a local watering hole for a couple of drinks and some wings before we went downtown for the game. That day was the day of El Clasico, one of the biggest soccer matches in all the world. Real Madrid taking on Barcelona, which, by the way, Barca knocked him out 4-0. Ugly. But we walk into the bar, and one of the guys in the riot had on a jersey of Real. And we get in, and there are like 4, I say kids, late teenagers, early 20s, all wearing the same jersey. The only other time you see that is like NFL games or Clemson/South Carolina game days around here, where there's like a gathering of people that came for this event. We are getting to a point where younger and younger generations are going, I don't care that I'm supposed to play football. Soccer's good. That's got to continue to grow for the men to continue to grow their success, because the rest of the world is ages, eons ahead of us in terms of soccer success. Well, once we get to that point where that's cool, and guys like me, who was a good soccer goalkeeper but a terrible football player, don't feel pressured into playing football, but go, I'm a good soccer player, I should play soccer. That's where you start getting guys like Matt Turner, the goalkeeper, who go, yeah, I'm going to do that. I don't need to be a walk-on 4-string safety. I can go play striker. I can go play the number 9 and maybe one day rock that shirt for the Americans. Now, the other aspect of that is women's soccer being winners has grown in this country as well. And they announced a couple of months ago that the Greenville Triumph had been awarded one of the charter teams in the USLW League, which is a women's professional soccer league, one level below the NWSL, which is the top tier women's soccer league. And this team, what I think is very cool, these W League teams are being comprised predominantly of local talent. So the Greenville Triumph women's team has a bunch of women's players from Clemson and Furman, South Carolina, local girls who cut their teeth in college, who are now playing professionally right here in the Ville. Well, last night, they announced the name and the brand of that soccer team, of which your boy is rocking the T-shirt right now. The Greenville Liberty will be the name of that team.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome,
Right?
Yeah.
You got the Triumph on the men's side. You got the Liberty on the other side. The Greenville Liberty, who, if you cannot see it, you should go to the Facebook stream at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. The Twitter stream, at the Fan Upstate. Golly, how old habits die hard. Facebook.com/the Fan Upstate. Twitter.com/the Fan Upstate. Or search The Rob Brown Show on YouTube. I'm rocking the T-shirt right now, and it's a good look. But I like that they tied it into stuff, right?
Mhm.
They went with the Liberty for multiple reasons. And Doug Irwin, the CBO, who's been on the show many times, explained it last night. He said, look, number one, the Liberty Bridge. Everybody knows the Liberty Bridge downtown, but there's a lot of other aspects, including just the adjective and the importance of the concept of liberty to this country as a whole. But also, I thought this was cool. The first African-American theater and cultural arts center in the United States was here, and it was called the Liberty Theater. So there's other tie-ins as well. And then the logo uses, this is the same two colors of blue that the Triumph used, the dark royal and then the kind of light, not quite Carolina, almost teal blue. They use the same colors for the Liberty, with the difference being that their logo is the yellow jasmine or yellow jasmine, which is the state flower of South Carolina, which is awesome because it's a really pretty flower. It's also toxic. It'll also kill you, right? So it's kind of a cool concept that they rolled out. And I went in last night to a bar full of about 75 people who turned out just to see what the new logo looked like. Because it is not just acceptable now, but it's a thing people like. It's a thing people want to do. It's a thing people want to see, want to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that on the local level, like the Triumph have done, like the new Greenville Liberty are doing, when you do that on the local level and you grassroots raise talent, that talent starts to filter up to the national scale and we start to be competitive. I'm going to break down the actual match, the 0-0 draw with Mexico last night, later on in the show, but we got to take our first hour break. Come back. We got NASCAR, we got college basketball, NBA, and more right here on The Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
I was 35 or 45?
45, right? Yeah, 45.
Okay, so we need 10 seconds.
So the other aspect, Stream, we'll be right back. We got to do production stuff. Pardon us. It is great to be back with you. I am Rob Brown. Directly across from me, T2, Tim Snow, the Timinator, Babyface.
Hello.
Makes his triumphant return. Trumpets will sound. Banners will fall on Monday. Look forward to that, but we are very grateful to Tim Snow for filling in the last couple of days, doing an outstanding job. My man came out of the frying pan into the fire. Not only is he filling in on a show he hasn't done before, he's filling in on a show he hasn't done before that's effectively brand new on a brand new brand.
Yeah.
Well done, buddy.
I have.
A lot of stuff to get to in this hour. I'm going to come back because I've had a couple of you guys ask about the 0-0 draw between the U.S. and Mexico last night, and I've got a take. And that take is effectively, look, we're all but qualified at this point, right? It's like 92% chance that we are going to the World Cup. A solid 92% chance we're going to the World Cup. That being said, I really wish we would have locked it up last night. And there were just too many missed opportunities. And opportunities that I think we are going to look back at down the line and go, yeah, we regret that. We regret that. I still think we're in. I still think we make the dance. But, man, it would have been nice to go ahead and lock that one up. Put the reserves in the next two games because we know we're already going to the dance. Put the reserves in the last two games. Let the guys who are going to play the substitute role in Qatar get a little break, get some extra time in there, get some PT, get some game experience. But hey, I also remember a point in time that going down to Stadio Azteca in Mexico City and walking out with a draw, we'd have considered that a victory, right? We would have considered that a victory. We'd have looked and went, hell yeah, we did. Awesome. Last night, it felt like a disappointment. The Mexicans controlled the majority of that game, but it felt like a disappointment. I'm going to come back to that later on in the show, but I got a few more things that I want to get into on the radio broadcast today. And I'll start with this. Last week, we found out that Deshaun Watson would not face criminal charges after a grand jury was convened and decided not to put Deshaun up against a criminal court. Welp, perhaps the Cleveland Browns may have moved just a little bit too soon because Deshaun may very well still face criminal prosecution after it was announced that 13 days after a Houston grand jury declined to indict the now Browns former Texans quarterback on 9 criminal complaints, another Texas grand jury is being convened to consider another criminal complaint against Deshaun. Jenny Vrentes of the New York Times reported that Tony Busby says a grand jury in Brazoria County, Texas, is considering a criminal complaint from a woman who says that Watson performed an unwanted sexual maneuver on her during a massage in November of 2020. A decision is expected by the end of today about whether or not he will face that criminal charge. On March 11th, the same day the Harris County grand jury considered 9 criminal complaints, Watson invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination in the first deposition session related to the 22 civil cases that he still faces. The following week, Watson did answer questions during a subsequent deposition session, waiving his Fifth Amendment protection for that civil deposition. The thought at the time was that because he was clear of the criminal charges after the grand jury decided not to indict and send him in front of a criminal court, that at that point he could tell his story regarding the civil suits in a deposition, and any information that came out in that could not be used against him in a criminal court of law. Now we find out that it might. The civil depositions are sealed. The public does not have access to the civil depositions. They were done behind closed doors. I am sure that at the time, the Browns, the Panthers, the Saints, the Falcons, the Seahawks, whoever else was interested in acquiring Deshaun Watson would be doing everything they can to discover what was said in that deposition. I suspect, though I could be wrong, that in the meetings Deshaun Watson had with those teams, including the owners of at least two of them, that they said, all right, Deshaun, those depositions are sealed. They are filed. We can't get them. So, what were you asked? And how did you answer those questions? That's an assumption. I don't know that to be true. That is an assumption. But if that's how, if I was in charge of that, and I was a GM, and I was told by an owner, your job is to figure out if it is worth the nightmare to bring this guy here. That's question number one. What got asked of you in that deposition? And how did you answer those questions? We want to know, we will know before we sign you. Again, an assumption. The thought was that Deshaun was clear of potential criminal charges. Then he does the depositions in the civil suit. Again, sealed, private. So the attorneys, the prosecutors, from what I assume would be the district attorney's office of Brazoria County, will not have direct access to those depositions. But they, much like those NFL teams, I suspect, will be doing whatever they can do to figure out what was asked, what did Deshaun say. They are going to be looking for inconsistencies in the story. They are going to be looking for any type of receipts that are available. They are going to be looking for anywhere that the story of the young woman in question acting as a masseuse, where her story lines up and differs from Deshaun's story. That's what they're going to be looking for. Whether or not they get it, we don't know. Like I said, will they be able to access those files directly? No. Will they potentially end up being able to get in contact with someone who knows what's in those files and get some help? Maybe. I don't know. Again, I'm not an attorney, nor did I stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night. But if this grand jury decides to indict Deshaun, which again, based on what I've read, based on my conversations with friends of mine that are attorneys, I don't think it gets flipped. I don't think this grand jury is going to turn out any different than the other one. Now, this is one of those times, as I told you back on day one of the brand new and improved Rob Brown show right here on the Fan Upstate from 9 to noon, that we try to keep it fun. We try to keep it lighthearted. We kind of try to keep it energetic. Wow, words are hard. We kind of try to keep it energetic and fun and lighthearted on the show because you guys are sitting down for lunch or for starting your day. But this is one of those points where sports and life intersects. And to the texter said, the fan, please go back to breaking down soccer. Everyone is so tired of Watson talk. I understand. I really do. But for the record, this is not just Watson talk. This is NFL talk, right? This is going to set a precedent within the NFL for how situations like Deshaun's are going to be handled in the future. So it's interesting. And the reason it's interesting here, and I promise another minute or two and then I'm off of it. The reason it's interesting is because while I do suspect that this grand jury will likely decide not to allow criminal charges to go forward as well, I think that if the opposite ends up being true, if this grand jury does decide that Deshaun Watson can be indicted and face criminal charges, what happens with the Cleveland Browns, right? What happens with the Browns? If Deshaun ends up facing jail time for this, facing a criminal court case for this, I mean, they jumped the gun, right? Now, the rumor that was going around on social media, and again, I emphasize, bold, italicize, and underline the word rumor, but the report that was going around on social media yesterday was that the Cleveland Browns were aware that this was going to happen. Were aware that this was a possibility. Were aware that there could be another grand jury convened, that there could be more criminal charges coming down the pipe, and that Deshaun Watson could very well still end up facing criminal charges. That's not great. Because I don't know if there's a compensatory pick for the Browns, but even if there's not, Baker Mayfield is gone. He's gone. Now, where could Baker Mayfield end up going? Now, there are reports coming out that the Carolina Panthers may very well be interested. Out of left field. 3 days ago, they weren't. Now there are, and again, ladies and gentlemen, don't take this report with a grain of salt. Take this report with the entire shaker of salt. Salt it up. The NFL's offseason of quarterback musical chairs has been bananas. Baker Mayfield is now floating out there, as is Jimmy Garoppolo. Jameis Winston off the table, Kirk Cousins off the table, Russell Wilson's off the table, Deshaun Watson's off the table, Matt Ryan's off the table. It basically leaves Baker and Jimmy G. Now, the first report that came out was that the Cleveland Browns know that they are in a rough spot. The Cleveland Browns know that the asking price for Baker Mayfield can't be high. Because as there are only two quarterback veterans left out there, Jimmy G and Bake, potentially Jordan Love, but honestly, I think his trade price might be higher than Baker Mayfield's. There are only a couple teams left that need a quarterback at this point. Carolina's one. The report circulating around social media right now is that the Cleveland Browns know that. And in knowing that, the Cleveland Browns will not be asking for a first-round pick in return for Baker Mayfield. And because the Cleveland Browns will not be searching for a first-round pick for Baker Mayfield, the Carolina Panthers may be very interested. However, according to Jared Mueller of Browns Wire, so again, not a grain of salt, the whole shaker of salt. According to a Browns reporter, right? So he's got a Browns tinted view on this. Once the Cleveland Browns made it known that Baker Mayfield will not cost you a first-round pick, the Carolina Panthers are now in play. And in return, that creates a situation where the Panthers would say, cool, we'll give you a fourth rounder for Baker, but only if you pay X amount of the salary. Because again, remember, the Browns have to get rid of Baker Mayfield. They have to. It's not an option. He has to go. So the Panthers go, we can help you out with that, but you're paying X amount of his salary and you're getting a fourth rounder in return. And it might work out, which leaves them open to still draft Malik Willis. Do they go for it? We'll talk more about it later in the show. I'm Rob, he's Tim. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. All right, fans, as I am being hammered by allergies right now, I'm going to go clear my nose. We will return very briefly. Stick around, y'all. Be right All right, stream, I'm back. Thanks for hanging out. Y'all welcome. Hit me in the chat if you got something you want to talk about on air, something you want to talk about on the stream. 42 saves, 2 conceded goals. Well done. Congrats on her. Steven says, Rob, my daughter and I will be there for the Liberty's first game. So will I, pal. We put their schedule on the calendar last night. Very excited about it. Very excited about it.
Let's see. Find that. Oh, you have Prisma Health on this hour.
Okay.
Want to do it on the next out with music like we did yesterday? Because that was pretty dope. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, let the music roll in it for like 15 seconds, slowly fade it out. I'll get out. We'll go to the next one.
Yeah, I want to practice that anyway.
Perfect.
It'd be fun.
Absolutely.
There it is. There's the bottom there. Okay, it's red. That's not good. Maybe because it hasn't been updated yet? I don't know. I guess we'll find out when we get there. If not, I'll go in on Reddit.
For what?
Oh, I can't. All right, I'll text or email Mark about it. Get you a set mode. Copy. Boom. So it's going to be after the next out.
The live?
Yep.
The endorsement, I mean?
We got it all set up.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Rob, Babyface Tim with you today on the show. We thank you for being here. If you would like to be a part of the program, the phone line is open for you. The call-in line is 844-FAN-PHONE, F-O-N-E, 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. You can also text the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, and we will read them on the air. So the Panthers looks like they might be in for Baker Mayfield. Bullet dodged with Deshaun Watson as Deshaun A. may face criminal charges now as another grand jury is being convened to discuss another criminal complaint made against him. And B is still very much eligible for the commissioner's exempt list, where he would just not get to play this year, be suspended effectively. And we know that that is a possible reality because the Browns gave him a $1 million base salary, and that's it for this year. So that if he gets suspended, he will not miss any time. Or, miss much money. He will miss a year, obviously, but he won't miss any money. He'll miss out on basically, what is it, $600K a game, I think, is what it works out to. Whatever it is. So the Panthers may have dodged a bullet with that. Because, again, if it's Matt Rule's last year and you get Deshaun, but Deshaun can't play, you also don't have the money to go get another starting caliber quarterback. You are locked in with Sam and maybe Cam. Not a great look. But it looks like they may be in on Baker Mayfield, the Carolina Panthers. Bake is going to come cheap because there's not much of a bidding war going on. With Deshaun, despite what is going on with him away from the field, with Deshaun, there was a bidding war. Atlanta was in, Carolina was in, New Orleans was in, Cleveland was in, and rumors are Seattle was in. 5-team bidding war. There was a lot going with that, yeah? Even if Deshaun was ultimately the one that got to tell the Texans what offer they were going to take, those teams had to put stuff up on the table. Baker, there is no bidding war. It's effectively Carolina and Seattle. Maybe Atlanta. But remember, they just signed Marcus Mariota. And the discussion is Atlanta's looking to draft QB. So now the Panthers fans, you get to answer the question. A couple of weeks ago, I asked you, do you want Deshaun, Cam, Sam, or one of the draftable quarterbacks? Now I ask you the question, do you want Cam, Baker Mayfield, one of the draftable quarterbacks, or ... a combination of them? I'm still leaning on the Carolina Panthers have got to go Malik, right? Y'all know my afternoon colleague and compatriot and comrade Mark Ryan and I don't see eye to eye on a lot. That's why I'm here partially. We don't see eye to eye on a lot. So when he and I agree on something, it's kind of big. I heard him say yesterday on his show, Offsides with Mark Ryan airs 3 to 7 right here on the Fan Upstate. I heard him say on his show yesterday, if the Panthers pass on Malik Willis, they will regret it. And I agree with that. I did not feel that way about Justin Fields. I did not feel that way about Trey Lance. I thought both of those guys have a lot of upside, but both those guys are going to need a lot of work. And I'm not saying Malik won't need work. I'm saying the situation around Malik versus the situation that Carolina would have put Justin Fields and Trey Lance in had they drafted those guys is worlds different. Malik is going to show up. I think, at least in my head, the way I see it going, is within the next 2 to 4 weeks, we end up seeing Cam Newton make a return to the Carolina Panthers for one more go at it. That does not mean Cam shows up to be the starting quarterback all season long for the Carolina Panthers. And I would be interested what the fan reaction will be here on the Fan Upstate. I'd be interested to see what the fan reaction is. A, if Carolina brings Cam Newton back into the fold, and B, brings him back in, names him the starter, runs him until playoff contention is dead, and then makes the move to bring in Malik Willis as the starter. I am intrigued to see what that would look like. I'm very interested to see what that would look like. I think there's the possibility for that to look real good. Malik plays a slightly more finesse version of the same game that Cam Newton played when he was at Malik's stage in his career. So you got an opportunity to bring in a guy that many, if not most, draft analysts think is the best available quarterback in this draft. Now, there are some red flags, right? There are some red flags about Malik. He played for Liberty University. He was not playing against SEC caliber ball. The talent on the team around Malik was not SEC caliber. The game for Malik was a slower game than the SEC, which is a slower game than the NFL. Will he be able to process the game at a higher speed? Will his game work at a higher speed? It works against Flagler University. It works against UMass. Will it work against the Atlanta Falcons? It's a big question mark. And because it's a big question mark, there are definite red flags about drafting Malik. But I look at Malik and I see the tools in the toolkit. doesn't mean he'll know how to use them, right? If two guys show up at your house because you want somebody to build a patio, and one guy shows up and he's got a contractor's truck with ladders and tool chest and power saws, and he's got a nice tool belt, and he's got this, and he's got that, and he's got all the tools already ready to go. And he goes, I can build that patio. And another guy shows up, and he just pulls up in his Toyota Corolla, and he's got no materials and no gear and no tools. I'm not saying the guy with all the equipment is definitely going to build you a better patio. I'm going to say he's got all the tools. I'm going to say that he's got all the equipment, all the resources, and he's ready to go. The other guy might end up building you a better patio. But let's be honest. 85% of the statistics are made up, but 85% of the decision-making process here is based on looking at the cats in question and going, which one is more suited to get the job done? The guy in the Corolla who showed up in jeans and a t-shirt with no tools, he may very well have all the tools and the knowledge and the ability to build you the dopest patio in the yard. But the guy that showed up ready to work with all the tools and all the resources and all the equipment and the lumber already loaded up, you're going to look at that guy and go, the presentation of that guy says he's ready to go. Now, the next step in our metaphor here is, cool, show me your resume, right? Show me your gallery. Show me your portfolio.
Yeah.
Show me patios you've built already. Show me your work. And the metaphor kind of ends there because in that case, they can go, here's a picture of my last patio. You can't really do that with football, right? Can't really do that. But you can't go show me the hard work. Show me the results. Malik Willis can go, all right, well, I went down to Ole Miss and almost beat them. Does not mean it's going to translate to the NFL. Whereas if I show you a picture of a patio I built, it means I can build a patio. So the metaphor falls apart, but you get the first half of it. Presentation-wise, Malik's got all the tools in the toolkit. The only thing he's probably missing is a little bit of size. But so did Drew Brees, right? Malik Willis, 6'1", 215. You know, I'd like my quarterback to be closer to 6'4", 6'5". So those offensive linemen are big. I want to be able to see over it. But he goes 215. And the dude can go. I acknowledge it's a risk by Carolina. He may very well be a bust. But the last thing you want to do is end up in a spot where you draft an offensive lineman, you go back to the well for another reserve quarterback, a guy that was not good enough to cut it elsewhere, plug him in, and watch your season go to hell in a handbasket again. Because you followed the same formula, and for the second time, third time, fourth time, it did not work. Baker's right there. Baker's available. And frankly, as I mentioned a couple of times, Baker's cheap. There is no bidding war. And the difference between Baker and a lot of other quarterbacks is that Baker must move. The Browns must move him. If you find a deal on Facebook Marketplace, I'm looking for a new guitar amplifier right now, right? I got to get a new amp. I've seen a lot of amps, really good amps, going for pretty good deals, right? Slightly used orange. My favorite amp's in orange.
That's a good one.
It's a dope amp.
It's a good one. I love those amps.
Slightly used orange amp for $100 cheaper than buying it new. That's awesome. You know what I'm really looking for? Used orange amplifier, moving Saturday must go. Because that guy's got to have it gone by Saturday. And I can go, yo, I know it's $100 cheaper, but you got to move Saturday, knock another hundo off. I'll come pick it up. And they go, yeah, that's where the Browns are with Bake. He has to move now. to get Deshaun in camp and ready to go. Panthers get him on a steal. I'd rather have Cam and teach Malik Willis to play quarterback at the NFL level. Back after this, my name is Rob Brown, T2, Tombstone, Babyface, on the ones and twos of the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Got it live.
You see?
After this.
Right. QC Kinetics, right?
It's Prisma.
Prisma. That's why I asked. I'm a dummy. I have never posted a clip. I've never clipped anything on Xbox. I've never streamed on Twitch. I tried to set it up one time and could not figure out how to get, like, I could talk, but they couldn't hear the rest of the people on my team talking to me. So it was just me answering questions that didn't exist. Yet every time, like every couple of days, I'll tune on and be like, you have a new follower. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why do I have that? I don't want to follow on Xbox. I
Well,
don't
maybe
do anything.
maybe your listeners know you play
It
Xbox.
might be. And I know, like, I've got a bunch of friends. I guess if you friend somebody, you can also follow them. So it might be that.
Oh yeah. Thing where it's like, oh, you might know this person.
Gotcha. So that might be why.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you got 68 followers according to that.
Maybe
According
I
to
should.
the we got about 15 seconds.
The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Rob and Babyface Tim Snow with you here on the broadcast. Be a part of the show. The phone line is open, 844-FAN-PHONE, F-O-N-E, 844-FAN-PHONE, or 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663. You can also text the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air. Steven on the Facebook chat, facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, or search The Rob Brown Show on YouTube. Follow my YouTube channel, and you can watch the show live right there on YouTube. Put us up on your TV. You can watch us on TV. You can see Tim's baby face in HD. It's that good. Says, please ask Captain America Chris Evans down the hall to speak to Baker to New Orleans into reality. I would rather have Cam all season. So there's Panther fan checking in. And if you don't know that story, one of the interesting things about this jump in time slot for me is that on the old show, me and Lonzo have a lot of running gags, if you follow that show, right? Stuff that sticks from show to show. We've got a lot of running gags from the old time slot that some of you guys that are listening in the new time slot are going to be like, yo, what? Like, what are they talking about? Right? One of them, there was a stretch of about 3 days, about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, where one of our engineers, his name's Chris Evans, so we call him Captain America Chris Evans down the hall, because that dude saves us all the time. Anything goes wrong, Captain Chris and Tony are down here like scrubbing up our mess, all right? So we call him Captain America Chris Evans down the hall. Well, Cap rolls in here one day as we're doing the show. We take a break, and I got a Saints hoodie on. For those of you who don't know, I'm a big New Orleans Saints fan. I'm from New Orleans originally. So I got a Saints hoodie on, and Chris says to me, hey, Rob, now this is 2 weeks into the playoffs, which the Saints did not make. 2 weeks into the playoffs, and he goes, hey, Rob, how are the Saints doing? Not great, Chris. Not great. Our season ended 2 weeks ago, but thank you for asking. And about 10 minutes later, breaks the news that Saints Pro Bowl running back Alvin Kamara has been arrested in Las Vegas for punching someone in the face. Not a good look for Alvy. So he says, how are the Saints? 10 minutes later, my Pro Bowl running back punches a dude in the face and gets arrested. Then, about 2 weeks after that, we're doing the show. And I had made a joke about that was bad luck. About 2 weeks later, Captain America Chris Evans down the hall comes into the studio. And as a joke, Tim Snow, he says, hey, Rob, how are the Saints doing?
So how about them Saints? Yeah.
About 20 minutes later, my head coach retired out of the blue. 2 for 2. And then I'm like, I just rememberized something. A number of months ago, so during non-show hours, my office is right down the hall from here. And during my non-show hours, I sit in the office and, I'm watching sports and prepping the show and doing imaging and logos and all that kind of stuff. And I remembered that Chris Evans, Captain America down the hall, came to me and said, hey, man, because I just hung a bunch of stuff on the wall, including I have one of my favorite possessions of mine. I'm a big sports souvenir guy. One of my favorite possessions when I was a kid, my grandmother, my mom's mom, worked Superdome security during Saints games. And so she worked for the NOPD, the New Orleans Police Department. She worked Superdome security. And when I was a kid, I got brought into a Saints game, and I got to go down to the locker room when the team was coming out for a game. Well, my favorite player, of whom there is actually a 1980s mini figurine in my office, my favorite player at the time was the Saints quarterback, Bobby Hebert, right? New Orleans guy, the Cajun Cannon.
Okay.
So I was all jacked to meet Bobby Hebert. Well, Bobby came out because Bobby was the quarterback. And Bobby, there's a picture. Bobby basically gave me a high five and then went out to the field. And I was like, heartbroken. Well, at the time, there was a kicker named Morton Anderson, the Great Dane. He spent some time kicking for Atlanta, too. Morton Anderson, the Great Dane, was the kicker. And Morton Anderson was coming out a few seconds after Bobby Hebert, and he saw this 5-year-old Rob Brown get absolutely crushed because I just wanted to talk to Bobby Hebert. And Bobby, and as an adult now, you're like, dude, he had to go quarterback a game. Chill.
Dude.
But as a 5-year-old, man, that was my hero. And all I got was this little kind of half-assed high five on the way to the field. Morton Anderson saw that.
Yeah, but that's still more.
But again, I'm 5.
Yeah.
People would pay great money for, and I happen to be the grandson of the lady who could organize that for me. So anyway, crushed by this, Morton Anderson, the kicker, sees that moment, and he's like, got this, saves the day, comes over, picks me up. There's a picture with me with Morton Anderson too. Picks me up and takes me into the Saints locker room.
Wow.
And on the way in, I meet the offensive line. I think Willie Roaf was a rookie that year or something. He was one of the best offensive linemen ever. Anyway, takes me in, takes me into the locker room, takes me to his locker, takes off his sweatbands and gives them to me. And then he goes, can you keep a secret? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, come with me. And he walks me to Bobby Hebert's locker, and he steals me one of Bobby Hebert's wristbands out of Bobby Hebert's locker. So hanging on that wall in the office are 2 wristbands, one that belonged to Morton Anderson, one that belonged to Bobby Hebert. And those are 2 of my my favorite possessions.
Wow.
So anyway, Captain America, Chris Evans down the hall, walks in one day and he sees those. And he's like, you just have random sweaty wristbands hanging on the wall? Because I've got right in the middle of the wall, there's a little Saints tribute. I got an Archie Manning autograph. I got a little Saints teddy bear I caught at the Super Bowl parade after we won the Super Bowl.
Nice.
I've got a pair of Saints Mardi Gras beads that I caught at the Super Bowl parade.
Okay.
A little Saints tribute corner there. And off to the side of that are those 2 wristbands. And Captain America Chris Evans down the hall sees those wristbands, and he's like, dude, you just have sweaty wristbands hanging on the wall? So I tell him the story. I'm like, nah, those are not just any sweaty wristbands. Those are sweaty wristbands from the Cajun Cannon, Bobby Hebert, and one of the greatest NFL kickers of all time, Morton, the Great Dane Anderson. And he's like, that's cool, man. How are the Saints doing? And I am 90% sure that the day that Captain America Chris Evans down the hall asked me that was the day that the Louisiana Superdome caught on fire for no reason in the middle of the day. Evans down the hall. I don't believe in blessings and curses, except for that one. If Captain America Chris Evans down the hall ask me, how are the Saints doing? something bad about to happen. He lit my stadium on fire. He got my Pro Bowl running back arrested for being an idiot. And then he made my head coach retire, all within like 3 months of each other.
Wow.
So
you might be.
Here's my advice, ladies and gentlemen. Should you ever have the good fortune of meeting Captain America Chris Evans down the hall out in public, and you'll know him. He's a very handsome man with one of the best beards you've ever seen.
He does have a great.
If you ever see Captain America Chris Evans down the hall out in public, and Captain America Chris Evans down the hall says, "Hey, man, how are thee?" Stop him right there. Do not let him finish that sentence, all right? Do not let him finish that sentence. So, on the stream, those of you that watch the stream, whenever something goes wrong in here, in the Fan Upstate Palatial Studios, and Captain America Chris Evans down the hall walks in, just know, I love Chris. He's a genuinely good dude. Phenomenal guy, big nerd. We talk about D&D off the air all the time. Great guy. But if he ever walks in, he is not allowed to talk sports with me. He is the only person that I know in my life who I will not allow to talk sports to me. If he's like, nope, stop it right there. Stop it right there.
So you ask.
The great Lloyd Christmas once said, I'm saying there's a chance.
There's a chance.
All right.
Okay.
I'm not saying I don't believe in blessings and curses. But I'm saying Chris might be the one exception to that rule. All right.
I'm going to keep that.
Yeah. Do not allow him to ask you how your sports ball team and or university is doing. Because if he does, within hours, something tragic will happen to your team. He is 3 for 3 with me. I have worked here 2 years. 3 times he has asked me how my team is doing. And all 3 times it was followed up by absolute disaster. Devastation. Yeah, it's not great. Anyway, so that's one of the running gags you're going to hear about here on the show. And also why, if you ever see a picture of my office, which you will, because I've got the YouTube channel set up. I built a thumbnail yesterday for the first time in my life.
That is your first time.
You can see by going to Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, Twitter.com/TheFanUpstate. When Paul the Big Show White announced on this show earlier the week that Captain Insano was coming to AEW. If you're old like me, you'll love that reference. Anyway, I built the thumbnail for that. We got a bunch of YouTube content coming up. You're going to see if you ever look and go, are those sweatbands hanging on the wall in Rob's office? Now you know why.
Yeah.
Just like that, ladies and gentlemen.
Can always reference the show.
That is 2 hours in the books, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back in hour number 3 here on the Rob Brown Show, we got NASCAR, we got basketball, and more. It's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. This is just recording of a talk show.
That's not it, is it?
Nope.
That's the
Fire
card you
whatever's
gave
next
me.
in the queue and take this out.
All right.
Yeah, that was just the recording of somebody's show.
That was weird. That's the card he gave me. The other one was like 15 minutes.
Yeah, Keegan, I was at the, I was at the Super Bowl parade with my mom, my dad, my little brother, 2 of my uncles, and a boatload of cousins. We were near the federal courthouse. Hang on, I'll tell you exactly where we were. My uncle at the time worked for the federal courthouse that is off of Lafayette Street. somewhere down there, wherever that parade went down there, that direction, that's where we were. And it was fantastic. Fantastic. Somebody just texted the show, fan cowherd, end quote. And that was it. So, question mark?
All right, I'm going to listen to this real quick.
Yeah, I'm going to take us off the stream real quick, guys. We'll be right back. The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. No, it's not. It's the Fan Upstate. Golly. The Fan Upstate rolls on. My goodness. Old habits die hard.
They really do.
We are
really
new.
do.
We are improved. We are better than ever. We are the Fan Upstate. The best damn station in all the nation, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob Brown. T2, Babyface Tim Snow, the Timinator.
What?
Oh, no, I used all your nicknames, didn't I?
Yeah.
T2, Tim Snow. On the way. I got to tell you guys.
I got two.
For those of you paying attention. With this killer new time slot. Yeah, with this killer new time slot, which I got to tell you, 3 days in, I love it. All right. It was a shift for me, right? Because I've been doing lunchtime for 2 years. And so after 2 years to move into an earlier time slot, I was like, oh man, like I've kind of built a niche following. But I looked at it and I'm like, dude, this is a great opportunity, right? Because those of you that listen 9 to noon, you guys are long for listeners, right? You guys are here for the party and you're sticking around. The problem, of which I have only found one with a 9 a.m. time slot, is that I am now in the building at 7 a.m., which means I am up between 5:45 and 6 a.m. because, I got to walk the dog. I got to take a shower. I got to have breakfast, spend some time with the lady friend in the morning. And that has never been a problem before because when I worked at noon, I got here, 9:30. I try to get in 2.5 to 3 hours before the show to give myself plenty of time. Most of my prep is done at night, right? I do most of my show prep at night. And then when I get here in the morning, the show prep is largely done. It's basically, okay, what broke overnight after I went to bed? And, because we're in Eastern time, what games that kicked off at 10 p.m. that I didn't stay up to watch the end for, like how'd they turn out? So when I get here, I get in 2.5 to 3 hours for the show time. I clean up the show prep. I organize the show prep to where I want it to be and get the show ready. But I want 3 hours. Yeah? My rule has always been for every hour I'm on air, it's an hour and a half of prep to make sure I know what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say it, what I'm going to emphasize. And I don't write I don't script out the show. I don't have word for word and I read you my takes. I bullet point my takes and then I come in here and I give them to you. But in being here at 7 a.m. or 6:30 instead of, 9:30, I have to get up significantly earlier. The problem is I called the NCAA and I'm like, hey, guys, could you guys maybe shift the tournament games up 2 hours so that I could watch the end of them without getting 3 hours of sleep? And this is going to shock most of you like it shocked me. They said no. They said no, which I don't understand. I called Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA. I'm like, hey, can you make those left coast games? Can we not tip at 10 p.m.? Could we bump those up to 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific? And they were like, no, man. There's 6 more California viewers than there are Rob Browns. So no, we can't. Which meant that in order to watch last night's NCAA Sweet 16 games, Rob Brown had to stay up till 1 a.m. and then get up at 6 in the morning. Rob Brown likes to sleep. He's a big fan. Big fan of sleep. Big nap guy. I'm a siesta guy. I don't know if you're a siesta guy.
No.
Miserable for you.
Well, no.
I'm a guy. If I go down at 3 p for a nap, I'm waking up between 4 and 4:30, ready to go the back half of the day. I like my sleep. And this whole concept, as the texter said, you have to wake up early now. Ha ha ha. Welcome to being a regular person. End quote. I will admit to you, my life is not normal. And trust me, I don't take it for granted. My life's awesome. All right. Last night, you know what my job was last night? My job last night was to go to a bar and be there to cover the unveiling of the new USLW League team's brand here in Greenville, the Greenville Liberty, which, by the way, if you're not looking, rocking the t-shirt with the new logo on it right now, right there. Dope. Love it. That was my job. Mm-hmm. Everybody else was there. I was getting paid to be there, right? My job is not just to go to sporting events taking place in Greenville, but to sit on the sideline for them, right? To sit on the sideline. I was at NCAA March Madness this past weekend. I was 5 feet from Jim Nance and Grant Hill on TV calling the game. Which is a sports broadcaster, that's like a dream. I know dudes who would pay a lot of money. I was listening to Nance and Grant Hill call the game from their mouths, not over TV, not through the mic, just listening to their mouth holes describe the game. I know my life's not normal. I know my life's awesome. This is not a humble brag. This is humility. I know it's awesome, and I don't take it for granted. But my goodness, those of you that wake up at 6 a.m. regularly, like, oh, it's my day off and I'm up at 6 a.m., who hurt you? Are you okay? Because I am not. All right? Hence the brain fart to kick off the hour. Anyway, it's a good life. If that's my biggest complaint. Oh, I do have one more question. 2 more questions. Number 1, I have recognized that there are some people in this world who have a superpower. And that superpower is the ability to put their head on a pillow and then just be asleep. And those same people have another superpower. And that superpower is the ability to have the alarm go off and just be awake. The lady friend is this way, right? Like, she lays down to go to bed, and I have told her I am actually frustrated because, like, we'll go to bed, and she'll lay down, and I'll be like, hey, I meant to ha! 25 minutes away from sleep. And it doesn't matter how watching a game. Sitting on the couch with the dog, watching a game, and do that thing where, like, the eyes start to close and you got to, like, shake the head to wake back up, right? I will be 95% asleep on the couch. Eyes are closed, head shaking, and I'm, like, squinting and squeezing the eyes to be able to force them open to watch the last minute of the game. Game's over. Not even a game I'm, like, emotionally invested in. It's just a game because I like to watch basketball. And I'm like, dude, this is great. I'm like 95% asleep. And somehow, T2, on the 30-foot walk from the couch to the bed, I hit the bed and I'm like, let me think about everything that's ever happened to me before I fall asleep. 30 minutes, I'm just staring at the ceiling. The lady friend will occasionally, because she does fall asleep fast, but she's a light sleeper.
Right.
So I'll just lay there, and if I, like, move, she wakes up. And there are nights where she wakes up and I'm literally staring at the ceiling. And she's like, are you a psychopath? Just go to sleep. Oh, thanks, coach. Never thought of it that way before.
Yeah.
She's back asleep snoring again.
And
the opposite is true too, right? Like the morning routine. That alarm hits at 6 o'clock, 6:15, 5:45, because she's got to be at work at a certain time. I got to be here at 7. So depending on who's got to leave, or like if she or I have to leave earlier, normal might be 5:30, 5:45, but that alarm hits. And for me, I have to set like 4 alarms on my phone.
Yeah.
Because I will literally snooze the first one without fully waking up. Hit the snooze button and not remember doing it. I've done it before. I have to set alarms because if I set one, I will snooze it still asleep, wake up late for whatever I'm doing. In fact, early in the relationship with a lady friend, I was late to a brunch because I apparently turned my alarm off without actually waking up. I have like 3 alarms. I have an old school alarm clock, which I don't ever really use, but it's the emergency. Like, I have to be awake tomorrow. I have 2 on my phone, and then I have an Alexa that's in the bathroom that I will set so I have to get up and go to the bathroom to turn it off. But if I just set one, which I did one time early in a relationship, and I just snoozed it and went back to sleep, and then I woke up, I was supposed to meet her for a Sunday fun day brunch at like 10, and I woke up at like 9:50, right?
Right.
On the way. I'm like, I'm so sorry, overslept. I'm dressed. I'm on the way. I'm going to be like 10 minutes late, you know?
Right.
She, on the other hand, that alarm hits at 5:45. She is up at 5:45 in 20 seconds, and she's like in the zone.
Yeah.
She's like, how? Like she works in an office, but every now and then she works from the house, right? And so there are days when she works from the house, she's got an extra hour, right? And she'll be like, I'm going back to sleep. So I get up and I'll like get dressed in the dark, take my shoes to the cell phone screen as my light through the house. The door and before I open the door. Her, on the other hand, she's up. She's like, click, click, lamp.
Oh my God.
Living room light, hallway light. Like the house is like the surface of the sun.
Yeah.
All that. I don't care. But my question is, how? In the absolute hell, do you guys who have this superpower, like, were you exposed to some radioactive ooze? Were you bitten by an insect? Like, how did it work that you have the ability to put your head on a pillow and go lights out instantly? And then when the alarm goes off in the morning, and yes, I did practice that. When the alarm goes off in the morning, just open your eyes and like you're fully functioning. You're awake. You're just ready to go. I don't understand. Bro, I get here at 7. I am a big monster deep when the show goes live at 9, right? Tim's seen it.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way at 9 that I can come on ready to roll. And considering this show is upbeat and energetic and fast paced, I got to be ready to roll. I got to be awake.
Right.
Part of the reason I get up at 6 when I don't have to be here until 7, it's only a 10-minute drive from the house to here.
Ooh, not for me.
Is that I need like 30 minutes at the house of just, come on. I don't understand how it is that you guys just, the alarm hits and you're like, you're as productive 5 minutes after the alarm goes off as I am 3 hours later. And I don't get it.
See,
One 307, the preferred home services text line. Start your text with fan. We'll read it on the air. Texter says, stop drinking. It helps sleep happen. I don't know, man. A nice glass of bourbon will get me going.
Yeah.
Texas says, Rob, you have to train your body to get up and go faster. Make it a habit for a week, and it will be natural. Signed, the guy who got up at 3 a.m. for vending machine service. Yeah, everybody keeps telling me that. I worked a morning show one time, like morning drive, like in the building between 4:30 and 5 o'clock in the morning, on the air at 6. I worked that shift out in Destin for about 3 years, and about 2 years in, I asked my co-host at the time, hey, man, quick question. How do you get used to getting up this early? And he goes, you never get used to it. You just get used to working tired, right? I don't believe that it's a habit. I don't believe it. Let's see. Texter says, stop drinking. I mean, don't tell me how to live my life. All right. Texter says ESPN, all caps, alarm with an A. Oh, no, I'm just an idiot. Leave me alone. And Texter randomly just says at at fan, you commie.
What?
0-0 draw from yesterday. Ray Tanner has responded to criticism about the Gamecocks basketball head coaching search. We're going to hear the comments of Ray Tanner, and we'll address the other two games from last night's Sweet 16. That's all coming up next, right here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
All right, I think I gotta edit something real quick.
Go ahead, buddy.
All right. Hold on, let me get my music for that. Oh, whoa. Oops. Oh, no. I think I played a song that I wasn't supposed to play on the stream. I did not mean to. Plus, give me a song. Give me a song. Can't vouch for the song. I don't know what it sounds like. So I just gotta look at that real quick. All right, so we're good there. COA/G.
I, Keegan, for the record, don't believe that for a second. Don't believe for a second. Not a chance. So Keegan just sent me a DM a second ago of a tweet from a WEEI, a New England-based TV station, saying that Dale Arnold, who is the host of the NHL Bruins games on the New England Sports Network, tweeted this afternoon he wouldn't be surprised if Tom Brady goes to the Miami Dolphins this season. Dale tells us he's hearing the parties are, quote, working on it, end quote. Right there. No. Not a chance. Tampa's not letting that happen, right? And Tampa controls the rights to Brady's contract. That's why when Brady unretired, Brady had to unretire and come back to Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers will not move Tom Brady. They will lock him out before they send him to Miami. I would even after winning the Super Bowl, Tampa will lock Brady out before they let him go to Miami. I mean, yeah, and look, I saw that too, and that's fine. But here's the thing: I don't know this cat, right? And that's not a shot. Like, people don't know me. Why am I wanting my camera focus? It's not a shot. I don't know this guy, and that might be true. He may have been the one that broke that story. But here's the thing: the Buccaneers were in play from the minute that Brady wanted to trade, right? And it's one of those things that there were basically like 4 teams that were options for Brady: Miami, Tampa, San Francisco, San Diego, and New Orleans. I think were the 5 teams that were in play. And so basically all you had to do at that point, this is one reason that I'm never going to get big, right? I am big, I'm here, but you know what I mean, like nationally, is because there were reporters everywhere reporting Tampa Bay or Miami or New Orleans or whoever's going to. There was a guy out of New Orleans that I like that broke the story that Tom Brady is in talks with Sean Payton and he's going to be a Saint. It's done. Write it down. All you had to do was put out a story saying sources say Brady is going to go to blank so-and-so's going to go to blank. And in that case, you had a 20% chance of being right. And it's one of those things where if you are right, you blast it all over social media going, I'm the one that broke this story. And if you are not right, you just delete it and pretend it never happened, right? Like, I don't like reporters that speculate on stuff and then later on claim it was a fact. And that, I'm not saying that's what this guy did, but that's what a lot of people did. And then everybody claims, oh, I was the first one with that story. It wasn't a story. It was speculation. And then after you speculated correctly and got lucky with a 20% chance of doing so, after you speculated correctly, then you turn around and go, oh, I knew it. No, you guessed, dude. You guessed.
Did it wrong.
Well, we'll see. I mean, it's interesting, right? Like if that is why Miami went all in on the Tyreek Hill story, then that's big. If you need to work on it while we're on the air, that's fine, dude.
Yeah, but it might come through. Will it come through? I'll just turn it down real low, right?
What's that?
I could just have to turn it down real low.
Take it out of program, put it in queue. If you're going to work on it on air, just keep your mic off.
Oh, that's a
yeah. Just turn your mic off and then put it.
I don't know because it's not running through that. It's running through those little speakers.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you could listen to the speakers and it's not going on, it's not on the board, right? Is that on the board?
No, this is a sports flash. They just put the whole segment in, so I have to edit the other pieces out.
Yeah, just cut your mic and do it when you're on the air.
All right, I'll just turn this down. Hold on, let me make sure that's the right way. You can bring it up. Okay, perfect. Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern on HGTV and streaming on Discovery Plus. All right, coming back.
The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM in Spartanburg, and on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Download it, put it on your digital devices, and you can listen to the station and the shows of your choosing around the clock. And as I've told you guys back in the first hour, if you have a preference of shows, if there are things you like, everything that every broadcast outlet does is measured by one thing: numbers, exposure, listeners, metrics. It's all about the metrics, baby. It's all about the analytics. So grab the Odyssey app, listen to the shows you like, download the podcast of the shows you like, comment on social media, respond, interact with them, and get more of what you like. We are the voice of the Upstate fan. We are the Fan Upstate. All right. A few more stories that I want to get into. Ray Tanner has spoken out after there was quite a bit of criticism. And look, here is the reality. When you run an athletic department, you are not immune to criticism, yeah? When you do anything in sports, let's be real here. When you do anything in sports, you are not immune to criticism, right? Like, I really am a friendly guy. I really am. I'm a very friendly person. Just about every person who has reached out to me since I moved here, since I started doing the show, I am friends with now. Yeah? I'm a really friendly person. I don't like confrontation. I don't like conflict. Not great for this job, but you get the point. I get through it. I also, on air, I act like this big braggadocious egomaniac. I'm really not. I try to be friendly. I try to cater to the show towards people, what people ask me to cater the show towards, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But some people just aren't going to like me no matter what I do, right? In this game, criticism is the name of the job. And anything in sports, criticism is the name of the job, because everybody believes that they know what's best for their team or school or franchise or whatever. The athletic director is going to take heat, right? It did not matter whether they got B.J. McKee, didn't matter if they got Paris Lamont, It didn't matter if they got Bob Ritchie. It did not matter who South Carolina hired to run the basketball program on the men's side moving forward. They could have moved Don Staley over to that job. And when it came down to it, there was going to be criticism about the hire. You know what other coaching hire that's true about? Literally all of them. All of them. So, Ray Tanner and Deputy A.B. Chance Miller went along with the help of a search committee from a company called Turnkey, and there were some names that were targeted, and we know who they are: Sean Miller, Dennis Gates, Matt McMahon. We talked about all of those on the show before the hiring of Paris was made, right? Ray Tanner's taken a lot of criticism. Well, he spoke out about it. In fact, our own Corey Diaz, not our own, the Greenville News is Corey Diaz, but regular contributor to the Rob Brown Show, who those of you listening in the new time slot will hear for the first time coming up this Monday. Corey Diaz, who covers the athletics department for the Gamecocks, had a conversation with Ray Tanner. And in it, Corey asked him about the criticism that has been coming with the hiring process and the hiring of Lamont Paris. Tanner said, quote, "That's part of it, and you have to take it. I would be the first to tell you we were on the go and move. We stuck to our process. We ended up in a great place. I didn't appreciate the comment, but that's what you have to deal with, and I understand that. It's not perfect, but it's okay," end quote. Those comments were people who were out there blasting the hiring of the brand new head coach. Blasting the hiring of the brand new head coach. Now, Diaz writes in the article, quote, "Truthfully, Paris was on Tanner's initial list of candidates to vet and interview. In the final hours of South Carolina's search, Tanner mentioned he was afraid Paris was going to end up filling another coaching vacancy. Tanner and Chance Miller felt fortunate to land the former Mocs coach when the dust settled," end quote. Tanner said that, quote, "I'm excited. It was a great search. We had a plan and a process. Once we got underway, we stuck it out and went through it. We ended up with a guy that it's going to be tremendously successful here. I know that. I don't see a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff was thrown out. Names were thrown out. All the coaches I talked to during this process were first class. Criticism comes with a job. I understand that. I want to take the bullets. I don't want my coaches or student athletes taking the bullets, but it's no fun. I'm not going to tell you it doesn't bother me, but that's not what keeps me up at night. What keeps me up is I need to be going to be better. I'll see some things sometimes. You look at it sometimes and go, could we do something a little better? But it's things that are important. If they say you're a bad AD, next. There's nothing I can do about that, end quote. So, for the record, yes. And this is not a criticism of Ray Tanner. You know, I literally just spent 2 minutes telling you about how criticism comes with the job, because criticism comes with the job as part of it, right? And criticism only ramps up when you fail. Now, athletic directors are responsible for a lot. Like, for a lot. But hiring coaches is one of the most high-profile things that they do. And this is why whenever there is a coaching change set to take place at a major school, I try to tell fans, yo, chill, relax, don't pick a favorite. Let the coaching search play out. Because you may have a favorite, right? Sean Miller was the favorite for a lot of Gamecocks fans. Bob Ritchie was the favorite for a lot of Gamecocks fans. Y'all had names you wanted. Y'all had guys you wanted in that role. Don Staley was a favorite for a lot of Gamecocks fans. The thing is, you and I can't, won't know what is going on behind the scenes. You just have to let the situation play out. We don't know why Xavier was chosen over South Carolina. We don't know for McMahon why LSU was chosen over South Carolina. We don't know. And sometimes it's obvious, right? If you got a chance to coach Kentucky or South Carolina, you go Kentucky, right? If you get a chance to coach Duke or South Carolina, you go Duke. It's just how it goes. Sometimes it's not, right? Xavier has had a run of tournament appearances over the years. Why would Miller choose Xavier over South Carolina? Maybe it's that. Maybe there's something else. I don't know. But here's the deal. While it's on the AD to hire the right guy, you also have to understand that every program has its limitations for whatever the reason might be. And South Carolina has limitations on their men's basketball program put in place by their performance of lack thereof of the last few years. By the way, if you did not see this, Frank Martin's already coaching elsewhere, finalizing a deal today to become the head coach at the UMass. I know you wanted a guy like Sean Miller. I know you wanted somebody like McMahon. But at the end of the day, the schools they ended up going to are in a better spot than you are. Much like we talked about with the football team earlier, much like we talked about with the soccer team earlier, growth is step by step by step. And Lamont's a great guy to take that next step. Your goal is to have so much success with him that when it's his time to move on, next time a Sean Miller wants to come there. Next time a McMahon wants to come here. But it's a step-by-step process. You can't just expect a Final Four run out of the next coach right off the gate. It sucks as a sports fan because if we're lucky, we get 70, 80 seasons alive, and everyone that is we're building towards next year is a waste. I get it, but it's a process, man. Let's take a break. We'll talk a little U.S. soccer when we come back, and then Twitter trending topics to wrap it up. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate.
Just gonna make sure this is what it needs to be. Need my earphone there and play. Does that sound right to you?
Yep.
It's a minute and 39. And then so I counted it's over 4 minutes though.
Nope.
No, not the sports flash. Not the sports flash. The break though at the end with that, it's over 4 minutes.
No, hang on, stream. Be right back.
Phones.
Is Owen on the phone by chance? Oh, he should be. He will be getting a phone call here in a minute.
All right. Is it Owen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the soccer game.
There he is. 97.1, the fan. This is the Rob Brown Show. What's up, man? All right, we're about to come back, so I'll get you on hold. Right. Hey, that's why I wrote it down right there. Oh, it's the fan upstate, right?
The fan upstate.
Ah. See, I messed up. That's okay.
Managing your money for the life and years ahead with Fidelity Income Planning. We'll look at what you save, what you'll need, and help you build a flexible plan for cash flow designed to last, so you can go from saving to living. Fidelity Income NYSE SIPC.
The Rob Brown Show is right here on the fan upstate. I'm Rob, T2 Tim Snow, the Timinator. Tombstone. That was the one I forgot. Hanging out on the ones and twos. Alonzo, the great one, makes his triumphant return on a Monday. And we'll have the first regular lineup of the show together. We are very grateful to Diesel for filling in on Monday and Tuesday. T2 filling in Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We appreciate those guys and the hard work they've put in. And we appreciate you guys listening, man. Like I said, I know that change out of left field is shocking. And that was kind of the point, right? We wanted to shock the system a little bit. We wanted to rattle the cage a little bit. We wanted to let you guys know, as fans of the fan upstate, that this is a growth opportunity for us, a growth opportunity for you guys, a growth opportunity for the community of sports here in the upstate, that we plan on utilizing the new resources that come along with the switch to provide you with bigger, better, and more content than we've ever been able to do so before. But it's also a shakeup in that we want everybody in this community to know, the fan upstate, we are the sports station for everyone, for the fan, not Clemson fans, not South Carolina fans, not Carolina Panthers fans, not Atlanta Falcons fans, not Atlanta Braves fans. We are the fan upstate for the upstate fan. That's what we're here for, to be there for everybody. And ... with that hashtag segue, we're fans for the soccer folks too, man. Last night, the U.S. men's national team down at Stadio Azteca in Mexico City, Mexico, went up against El Tri. And, it was kind of interesting because we had the conversation yesterday afternoon. Greg Berhalter admitted that he was discussing with his coaching staff the possibility of trotting out a B team, trotting out the backups, the reserves, to basically go play for a tie. And if you eat an L, you eat an L, because the important one is Panama. Coming into this trio of games, effectively 3 points in any one of the three matches sends the Americans to the World Cup. The results of the other two would ultimately not matter if 3 points were gained in any one game, or 1 point in all three games would be good enough to keep us ahead of fourth place Panama, unless Panama, I believe, went on to win either two of the three or all three. I don't remember the setup exactly, but basically win a game and the Americans are in. And we were worried they were going to trot out a B-side. Now, fortunately, the Americans did not trot out a B-side. And not only did they not trot out a B-side, but once it got late into the game, and once we got to a point where it was very clear that the pivotal game-winning goal could come from either side at any moment. Not only did we trot out an A squad, but we went to A side guys as reserves. Gio Reyna came in as reserve. Looked phenomenal, by the way. Couldn't finish anything, but had some incredible footwork down the stretch. And I was very pleased with that. I was very happy with that. Problem is the mindset going into that game and even having the discussion of playing for a tie. You know, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychoanalyst, but I played sports. The mindset was already built that we are okay with a tie. We are good to go down to Stadio Azteca and take a point away. We are good with a tie because, hey, we should just outclass Panama in the next game in Orlando, right? And for the record, yes, we should. But we have seen the Americans go up against the Hondurans, the Costa Ricans, teams that we should outclass, and walk out with 1 point or worse, walk out with no points. There was no reason to ever discuss going to Mexico to play for a tie. We should have gone full send for a win down there. And yes, ultimately that's the lineup we went with. And ultimately maybe that was a smokescreen from the manager, Greg Berhalter, to try to feign the Mexicans into believing that we were playing for a tie. But assuming it was not, assuming that was a real conversation Greg Berhalter had with his American coaching staff, that's a problem because you put it into the mind of the players that a tie is good enough. You put it in, yeah, we're going to try to win, but we're okay with a tie. We should not have been okay with a tie last night. And for the first time in a very long time, when that match ended all square at 0 apiece, I went, wow, I am disappointed. I am bummed out. I am sad because we could have had 3 and could have gone ahead and qualified last night. We did not. Talk more about it. We bring in the Fan Upstate's own Owen Watterson to talk a little American football. Owen, my guy, welcome back. Good to have you, fella.
I'm doing, midnight last night to watch a goalless game, but yeah, it's going all right.
I'm getting too old for this stuff, man. This late night Eastern time, and now I got to wake up like a normal human being at 6 a.m. Not a fan. Not a fan.
Rob, I almost texted you last night and said, how are you going to manage staying up till midnight to finish this and then also having a 9 a.m. show tomorrow? But, you're...
The answer to that, Owen, is poorly. That's how I'm going to handle it. Very poorly.
Oh, my gosh, Rob. You mentioned before you brought me on about playing for a tie, and that's what frustrated me the most about last night, especially towards the end when the United States just sat back in defense. They parked the bus, and it was very obvious. We're just cool getting out of here 0-0. We're going to take these attacks. We're going to let the pressure come to us. Chucky Lozano almost had a couple of goals. It really looked like Mexico was going to get one there in the last 10 or so minutes, especially once it got into stoppage time, and it was just barrage after barrage after barrage into the attacking third. But I'm not cool playing for a tie either, and I quite honestly don't understand why Greg Berhalter was. I mean, he put out a pretty strong team, to be fair, but if you would have gotten 3 points last night, gone on 24, kept Mexico at 21, I mean, you get a draw in either of these next 2 games, and you're pretty much set. And now you go to Panama on Sunday, you play Costa Rica Wednesday, who, by the way, if you don't get a result against Panama on Sunday in Orlando, you have to go to Costa Rica to get a result, which, I mean, if you can't get a result on a cow pasture in Trinidad and Tobago to make it in 2018, if it comes down to them needing to get any kind of result against Costa Rica, who is unbeaten in their last 5, the only one of 8 CONCACAF teams in this group to be unbeaten in their last 5, I'm not sure that it's going to go too well. Christian Pulisic in the first half was okay. He seemed like the guy that they were going to hold it up and was really creating chances, but that chance he missed. I forget who played him the ball into the box, but it was...
Oh, that was heartbreaking.
Beautiful.
That has to be a goal. You've got to pick a side. You've got to pick a side, and you've got to attack it instead of just kind of... Like, I understand sometimes picking a side and then hammering the middle is the way to get the goalkeeper off the line. But Mehmet Ochoa, the goalkeeper for Mexico, he is Captain Mexico when he plays the Americans down there. You have got to make him work harder than that. And that was my whole takeaway from that match from start to finish, Owen, because that was not the only opportunity. There was another one later on in the second half where it was almost the same situation. A beautifully played ball sets up a goal-scoring opportunity, and instead of making Ochoa lay out to try to get on the end of a dagger, we were indecisive with the finish, and he stopped it. That game very well could – that game could have ended Dos Acero again. It probably should have, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm with you. Ochoa had a couple of really good saves in the first half. He had that one on Pulisic, which, in my opinion, wasn't his best. He just kind of dove that way and was hoping for the best, and Christian shot it right at him, as you said, instead of picking a side after he got a serve to him on a platter. And then Musa tried to hit it right into the bottom right corner, and that, in my opinion, was Ochoa's best save of the night. That reflex save to get down with his offhand, his left hand right near his near post, and push that away is outstanding. He always plays great, like you said, against the United States, especially when they're at Estadio Azteca. But in the second half, I mean, the one that keeps coming to mind, I don't remember who played it over the top. I want to say Tyler Adams played it right over. Gio Reyna took a brilliant touch inside the box, hit it right to Pefok, and Pefok hit it almost out of bounds rather than, making it a goal kick. I don't understand what was going on there. I mean, the lack of a true number 9 for this team in any capacity that can finish on a consistent level. Because remember, Pefok is playing incredible for his club right now. He scored 20, maybe.
Yeah, I was glad to see him.
Goals.
I was glad to see him in the rotation for sure.
Yeah, but they can't finish, him or Pepe, and to see Pulisic on the same wave not being able to bury it when they absolutely needed it was really frustrating. And Gio, that was about the only span of the game. Right after he got subbed on, there was about a 10-minute span where Gio really controlled it, and it seemed like the script flipped a little bit, like, okay, we're starting to get some pressure, we're starting to get some consistent chances here, and as soon as Mexico got the grasp back on their possession, they never let it go until the end of the game. And, at the end of the day, I think not having a real number 9 that can finish clinically is going to hurt them whether they make the World Cup or not. I think Pefok could be that guy. I think Pepe can be that guy. I'm not sure if it's coaching. I'm not sure what it is, but
yeah, he was a blazer when he showed up, and then he's just gone ice cold since then. No, and not ice cold. I mean, he's had good possessions in the box, but just no finishes. And I guess the frustrating thing for me here, Owen, and last night's match was no different, was we lack finishing, right? We lack a 9 who can go in the box, clean up the mess, and finish. And it happened again last night. And listen, Pulisic can do it. We've seen him do it for Chelsea. We've seen him do it in fact, in the Gold Cup match where he scored against Mexico and gave that iconic shirt off shush finger to the Mexican fans, was incredible. But for whatever reason, in this last 6 games that we have played, the in the box opportunities arise, and we're just not burying them. And that is, I don't want to say it's fine, because it's not. That game last night should have been 3 points, should have locked it up. But I wonder how much the mentality of the day before that, Greg Berhalter saying in the media, we might run a B squad and play for a tie. We'll make that decision come match time, got into the head, and the attitude shift went from, all right, guys, let's maintain possession. Let's make smart passes. Let's hold the ball longer than we need to make sure that worst case is a tie, versus, hey, let's get the ball in the box. Let's go attack. But the other problem this comes down to, and then I'll give you the final word, Owen, before we got to run to a break. Greg Berhalter's style of soccer is so formulaic, right? Like, it's so based on guys being in this spot, getting the ball to this spot, that it hurts the team as far as creativity. It hurts the team as far as, don't be a robot that's programmed to run from X to Y. If you're going X to Y and you see that a defender's out of line at spot Z, go to Z and set yourself up and be ready for the improv. There's very little of that, which limits the creativity. And when you combine that with an inability to finish the few opportunities we have in the box, you can get away with that in CONCACAF because it's not a very deep qualifying region. That will get us killed against Portugal and France and Spain. We can't do that. And that is why, even if we make the cup, I go into it with very little optimism about pulling a historic run that will build the momentum up again. Last word goes to you.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, man. And quite honestly, Kellen Acosta might have been the most disappointing guy last night. I really loved him there in the midfield. And here recently, in the last couple qualifying games, it seemed like they're just not able to control that midfield. They're not able to pass it up through the channels. They're relying on Anthony Robinson, Jedi Robinson, who, to be fair, in his defense, plays a really solid wingback role. He flies up the flanks and can send crosses in. We've seen him score here in the past couple games as well. I love what he does there. But when they get it into the box, they're relying on crosses. The couple chances that they had through the channels in the middle just didn't really amount to nothing. And I think that lack of creativity, that lack of improvisation that you just mentioned is so important. And it's something they have to get a grasp on, because soccer is the only sport where, yes, tactics matter a lot. It matters how you're lined up. It matters what the game plan is going in. But if you don't have guys on the pitch that can consistently say, oh, okay, I'm supposed to go here when this guy does this, but this guy's here, so I'm going to do this instead, leading to a goal, leading to an assist, leading to a potential chance shot on goal. Those are the kind of things you have to do to win games. And I don't know if it's so much Greg Berhalter, obviously not in the locker room, can't hear what he's saying to these guys.
Yeah, Owen, hey, buddy, I hate to run. We've got to run, man. Great call. Appreciate it. We'll do it again real soon, buddy.
Hey, man.
There you go. That's Owen Watterson from right here at the Fan Upstate. That's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. We are out. Y'all have a fantastic weekend. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me these first 3 days. Lonzo back on Monday. We will hit the ground running. T2, thank you very much for hanging out, buddy. Appreciate it greatly.
No problem.
Here on Monday to do it all over again. Have a great weekend. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. We'll see you back here at 9 a.m. on Monday for the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. Stream, thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you back here on Monday.